The goal of Above and Below is to have the most victory points. The game plays over 7 rounds, and on their turns, players will use their villagers to play actions or pass. To use an action, a player must spend villagers by moving them from the ready area of their playmat to the exhausted area of their playmat. The number of villagers they spend during an action is dependent on the action. The actions players can take on their turn are Harvest. Exhaust one or more villagers to harvest goods from houses or outposts in your tableau. The player takes 1 good token for each villager they exhaust with this action. Harvested goods are placed near their playmat where they can be saved for later, put up for sale, or placed on their advancement track, which we will get to later. Build. Exhaust 1 villager with a hammer symbol and spend coins to buy a building. There are 4 types of buildings. Houses are normal buildings that can be built above ground. Star houses are strong buildings that offer late game scoring potential. Key houses are chosen randomly during setup and offer a unique effect. Outposts are buildings that must be built on a cave card, which are acquired from adventuring, which we will cover in a moment. The cost of buildings are on the top left of the building card, and when a player buys a house or an outpost, they must be replaced from their respective draw decks. Train. Exhaust 1 villager with a quill symbol and train new villagers. New villagers are found on the central reputation board. Their cost is listed below them, and when purchased, they are immediately placed in the exhausted section of a player's playmat. Villagers are not replaced until the end of the round. Labor. Exhaust 1 or more villagers to gain coins equal to the number of villagers exhausted. In addition, the first player to use the labor action gains the cider token on the reputation board. If there is no cider token, players using this action just gain coins. Explore. Exhaust at least 2 villagers to explore the underground cavern in an attempt to find a place for an underground outpost. There is no maximum number of villagers that can attempt this action, but at least 2 are required for every explore action. Draw the top card of the cave deck and place the exhausted villagers on the card to denote they are the ones adventuring. Roll 1 die and use the result to indicate which paragraph should be read from the encounter book. The encounter book is filled with various encounters that players can come across in the caverns below. Each encounter paragraph should be read, including any bolded sections. Rewards are listed in parentheses and should not be read aloud. Each encounter has multiple options, and the bolded sections are the options the players have a choice of doing. The explore value next to the choice is the number of lanterns that are required to succeed that choice. An exploring player must choose which of the options they are going for, but they do not need to choose which explore value of the choice they are going for. Instead, whichever value they hit, they gain that reward. The exploring player chooses which of their villagers they are rolling for, and then rolls a dice for them. The result is compared to their villager, and they score lanterns depending on the result. For example, this villager gets 1 lantern on a 1 or 2 die result, and 2 lanterns on a 3 or higher result. This villager gets 1 lantern on a 1 to 4 result, and 3 lanterns on a 5 or higher result. A player can also exert 1 or more villagers from the cave card to gain extra lanterns. To exert a villager, the exploring player moves the amount of villagers they wish to exert from the cave card to the injured area of their playmat. Each exerted villager adds 1 lantern to the explore. If an exploring player hits one of the explore values, they are given the rewards in the parentheses. Rewards are usually resources or reputation. Reputation is tracked on the reputation board. Gained reputation moves you down the reputation track, while lost reputation moves you up the track. In addition, any villagers remaining on the cave card are exhausted, and the cave card is added below your houses on your tableau, ready for an outpost to be built on it. If the exploring player fails the explore values, the villagers on the cave card are exhausted, and the cave card is put on the bottom of the cave deck. Some paragraphs have failure descriptions, which are listed in the encounter book. There are 3 free actions a player can perform before taking a regular action. They are: put something for sale. A player may take one of their goods, a cider token or a potion token, and put it in their for sale section of their playmat. This makes the item for sale to other players. This item can be removed or switched for another good on a player's turn, but you can never have more than 1 good for sale. Buy from a player. If a player has something for sale on their player board, you may offer to buy it for at least 3 coins. Both players may haggle for a higher or lower price, but it can only be purchased with coins. Refresh the building row. For 1 coin, a player may replace the 4 options for a house or outpost with 4 new options from their respective deck. The new cards are drawn from the top, and the replaced cards are put on the bottom. This can only be done once per turn. Pass. When a player is done taking actions, they pass. When passed, a player may not take any more actions, free or otherwise. When a player has no ready villagers, they must pass, but they may still take free actions before doing so. The advancement track is found at the bottom of the player mat. It is used to determine a player's income and for endgame scoring. When a player gains a goods token, they may save it for later, put it up for sale, or place it in their advancement track. When placing goods in a player's advancement track, they must be placed from left to right, and if the good is already placed on the advancement track, new goods must be placed on top of it. The income amount above the rightmost goods determine how much income players get at the end of each round. If players have no goods, they gain 4 income as a default. Each good on the advancement track also earns points during endgame scoring. The victory point amount above each slotted good determines how many victory points each good is worth at the end of the game. When all players have passed, the round ends, and these steps must be taken before the next round begins. Move the round marker on the reputation board. If it cannot move down further, the game is over. Place a new cider on the reputation board if it does not have one already. Add new villagers to the reputation board if any are missing. Slide each remaining villager as far left as they can go and add new villagers on the open spaces from the left to the right. Rest villagers on player mats. First, players may spend cider tokens to move a villager from exhausted to ready, and potion tokens to move a villager from injured to exhausted. Then, for each bed a player has in their tableau, they may move a villager from injured to exhausted, or exhausted to ready for each bed they have. Each bed can only move one villager, one spot, and a villager cannot sleep in 2 beds during this phase. Collect income depending on their current income on the advancement track, and any income symbols on buildings. Refresh goods on buildings with an empty refresh goods symbol. Pass the first player token to the left and start the next round. If 7 rounds have passed, endgame scoring begins. First, players add up the victory points gained from their advancement track. Next, players earn 1 point for each building in their village. This includes houses, key houses, star houses, and outposts. It also includes the starting house each player received. It does not count empty cave cards. Next, the reputation track is checked. The player with the most reputation earns 5 points, the player with the second most reputation earns 3 points, and the player with the third most reputation earns 2 points. If players are tied for reputation, add both appropriate reputation rewards together and divide by 2, rounding up and split equally between the players. In addition, each player gains or loses victory points depending on where they are on the reputation track. Next, some buildings score victory points unique to them. Most buildings score a flat amount of victory points, but some give points for additional stipulations. For example, this building earns 2 points per villager in a player's village. This building earns 1 point for every cider token, 1 point for every mushroom, 1 point for every apple, and 1 point for every fish. It is of note that resources on buildings do not count for endgame scoring. The player with the most victory points is the winner. Ties are broken by coins, then by villagers, then by buildings.